How the hell are you, Internet? It is a beautiful day. You can probably tell that the sun's shining, but don't take my word for it. I'm gonna pick this bad boy up for a second. Look at how gorgeous it is out today. We're finally seeing some summer. I'm sitting in front of a chain link fence. And I've got something special today. This is the Triton version 2 by VC EDC. Without further ado, let's take a look. Ooh, let's take a look at this bad boy. She's heavy. Ooh. Get a little slower there. Oh, there it is. She's good. We got the sun shining today, so yeah, I just got this yesterday. Just came out, boy, on Thursday, Friday, something like that. So they've been pretty good getting these things out pretty quick. Didn't do expedited shipping, got here real quick. So thought we'll take a quick look under the hood, what comes in the box, and then we'll get to how she feels, how she works. So we got some really thick, chunky buttons here. But if you look at how thick this thing is, I mean, this thing is thick. You know, these buttons, if you're going to be doing table spins, which this thing is nice for, you're going to need some big buttons. It's got a similar kind of retention method as you would see in a lot of the, you know, the Chinese guys out there, but it actually tightens down really nice, and it's a little better threaded. So this is a really nice retention method. I haven't used the other one yet, although I think I'm going to have to give it a whirl. But it comes with an extra bearing and a little plastic retention set here. So I don't have my little tool to take that guy apart, but apparently this one I think might excuse me, help reduce the wobble. I know the bearing fits tighter in here. The bearing that's in it, I'm assuming, so it comes with a stainless steel bearing and a hybrid ceramic. I can't see in there to tell the difference. What I can tell you is I've tested a bunch of my bearings, including the 2 that came with it, and the one that's in it is the one that spins longer and makes a little more noise, and I think sounds like ceramic, so I think that's what we're working with. So, but she is a chunky beast. So I didn't measure it, but I did weigh it. It comes in at 3.9 ounces, just shy of 4 ounces. She's heavy. It feels good for it too. It's you know, I've got kind of pretty unique shaped hands, I'll be honest. I got really big hands and really long fingers, but they're actually pretty skinny too. So you know, this, you might not really get a good feel for what this guy looks like looking at my hands, because again, they're pretty big, but those long spindly fingers work for me in some ways and against me in others. So it's too hard to get a pair of gloves that fit, I'll tell you, because everything that's extra large is also for big fingers. So I have some struggles there. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about my hands. We're talking about this bad boy. Let's bring this back in there just so we know what we're working with. I'll put you right down here. Look, it's almost like a logo. It's nice. So it is kind of heavy. I'm sure there will be finger fatigue if you're sitting there spinning it all day for a lot of people. I don't actually find it too uncomfortable. It's really good to fidget with. Again, I think the weight is going to make it hard for a lot of people to just pick up and say, yeah, this is a fidget guy versus, you know, just a spinner that you play with, right? You put it down on your desk and just let that girl go. But let's talk about what it feels like in the hand. So a couple things I like. This scoop right here is very pronounced, right? That really dips down quite a bit. So it's actually nice just to kind of, yeah, just to fondle, just to get your hands on. I'm thinking I'll probably want to polish these edges here because they're machined all right, but they show quite a bunch of scratches. It's almost like brushed, but I feel it looks more like it's just the marks from where it was sanded. So I'm probably going to polish at least the edges. I like the machined look on the inside here. It's pretty nice, so I don't think I'll touch the inside. But if you look, yeah, see right there, those little scratches. So I mean, it's not finished to a super high degree, but it is it's still really nice. So but yeah, I was going to talk about how it spins. So the shape of this I really enjoy. So you'll notice there's a lot of bevels and curves and little things to catch. So even though this is definitely I think would be considered a tri-spinner, it feels more like a unibody spinner. It doesn't really matter where my fingers go because of the weight. If my finger stops it right there, boom, I get a good kind of preloaded flick. If my finger catches it right there, boom, look, I'm on a corner, good flick. My finger catches it in the middle, boom, good flick, good flick, good flick. It doesn't matter where I catch this thing, good flick. No hot spots, just spins. Spins for days. I found if you do these kind of flicks, again, so this with the ring finger, pulling it back, It's not too bad, but it's pretty chunky. Like, it's pretty wide out there, so there's quite a bit of gap between where my finger has to go. So grabbing it like that, I found initially was a little uncomfortable. Now that I've gotten kind of used to it, it's not so bad, but there's a lot of material space there. You know, when you look at something like, we'll bring this guy in right from the edge of the button, there's like no space, right? So if you bring it back, you don't really have that same issue of like really kind of feeling awkward, like having to hold your fingers apart to flick down there. So, oh, look at her go. So yeah, so on the tops, doing this kind of pull flick, it doesn't matter where you get it. Same sort of thing as when you're flicking it. If I catch it there in the corner, boom, good flick. If I kind of catch it in between, that's probably about the only spot that isn't like a really good flick. But as I'm doing that, when I'm really flicking it, I'm still able to kind of pull it as I'm fidgeting with it. Get it on the tops, no problem. Get it in the groove, no problem. Pushing, not so bad. One thing I will say though about the weight is when you're doing these flicks, there's definitely more effort. You're not just gonna kind of gently kick it into cruising speed. Like, you're really gonna have to push. This isn't one where you're just gonna kind of and get those like really high speeds. But it's been so nice that even doing these low rotation speeds is nice. If I'm doing a pull in with my finger and I'm catching it on the inside there, those are kind of like nice, real nice little gentle spins that feel pretty good. Pushes, pulls, I haven't really found a spin that I find uncomfortable. Again, the only issue I found with spinning is the weight and the effort it takes to get it up to kind of rotation. So you fidget with this for a little while and then you go grab another spinner and you're like, whoa, I can really just whip this thing. Whip it good. Devo. We got some nice sunshine in today, so look at her go. So let's talk about the bearings and the spin times a little, because that's honestly the biggest reason I got this. I saw, I think it was BD Tech Solutions getting something like, you know, 16 minutes on this guy, and that was their kind of like pre-production thing. So I'm sure it had a good bearing and one with that was broken in well. So I have no doubt the shape and the weight. There's so much mass on the outside here, and it tapers in that this guy's capable of really high spin time. So I don't think that's false advertising or anything by any means. But out of the box with the two bearings, one got 340 on a table spin, one got like 540. And I kind of put a little sad face on. I was like, meh, I want more spin time. So what do? You take those bearings, you pop them in a little isopropyl alcohol bath, and we got to, on the slower of the two, an 8-minute table spin, 8 something, and then about 10 minutes 2 seconds, I think, on a vertical spin. So then I took the other bearing that went a little longer, and I didn't do a good table spin, but I did a hand spin at about 11.5 minutes vertical spin. So she's already getting up there, and again, that bearing's not really broken in. What I like about this guy too is I think with its shape and size and mass, spin time is going to really kind of be affected by the bearing, and that kind of goes without saying. But what I mean is that it's any change in the bearing at all on the spin times this long, you're really going to get a feel for what bearings do what. So I've actually got some Fidget EDC stainless steel, not Fidget, Fidget HQ stainless steel, Fidget HQ ceramic hybrids, and some 1-drop bearings. I think I've got 3 of each of the Fidget HQ ones, maybe 4, and then 5 of the 1-drop ones to get that good deal. So I've got a lot of bearings to test with. I tested this with a bunch of other bearings that I had from some spinners that Infinite Spin? It's the Zentri, right? C3. Use that one, use some the bearings I got from Alphabot Industries off Amazon. All those right around the 10-minute mark, so pretty consistent. Switch that hybrid ceramic, which is what's in it now. I'm trying to get it broken in, and yeah, we're getting 11-minute vertical spins. So yeah, really happy with this guy. A few minor things, the machining marks and stuff like that, again, right there, not too bad, but it really just looks like it's unfinished as opposed to like brushed. I showed you kind of before some of the marks right there. See where that light's reflecting right there on the edge. Could be a little better, but the feel in hand, the weight, this guy is nice. Oh, one other thing I'll say, and I think this is more to do with the bearing. She spins in a circle, like perfect, but I do have a tiny bit, I don't think there's any way you'll be able to see this in the camera, a tiny bit of up and down wobble. You might see that a little bit there as it's warping. It's not too bad, and again, I think that's more the bearing, and maybe as it breaks in and as I try more bearings, we'll get a better idea of what's going on. But the rotation here, and again, I think this is more bearing, can feel a little bit of a jitter as you change axis. but it really feels good. There's so much weight there, you can really feel that gyro motion even at lower speeds. So yeah, one other thing with the buttons on this, keep thinking of things I want to tell you guys here. Thinking of the buttons with this guy, the way I hold a spinner, and again, I've got long fingers, but they're pretty narrow, so when I'm grabbing the top here with this finger, I'm actually not getting much of that ridge. I'm getting mostly just the smooth. So I'm not really getting a lot of purchase, a lot of grip in there. So I think having it, you know, I like a slightly smaller button that has some concave. So, but with this button in my fingers, this double grip right here, especially when doing two-handed spins, is nice. Using the old double grip, because I'm able to kind of bite into those little rings on the side, and my thumb's big enough to work it out. So work it out. You guys see the airplane? Let's look at them. All right. So with that, I think, what do we do? What do we normally do on one of these? Leave you with some warping? Maybe we'll do that. Why don't you look at her span before we take it out of here. So thanks so much for tuning in, checking it out. Hope you Warhammer guys are happy I finally did a little bit of Warhammer again. We'll see how much more I get to lately. But in the meantime, hope I probably shouldn't have done that with this guy because of the long spin times. Oop, car alarm. Let me just rub my finger on it, just slow it down just to get that warp to come in. Just look how much speed she doesn't lose, just warp.